Welcome to the Better Husband Challenge. Congratulations on stepping up to the plate to make your marriage better. Mark and I are going to do everything we can to get you started on the right foot and to stay on track. So the goal of the Better Husband Challenge is to make your marriage better in 30 days. And to make that happen, we're going to write daily appreciation cards for our wives for the next 30 days. So I picked 30 days because it's short enough that anyone can commit to that time, and it's long enough for everyone to feel a difference. All right, so what kind of a difference might that be? So it depends on where you're at, right? So there's three kinds of men join the challenge. Men who are maybe having a bit of a rough patch, and men who are in, their marriage is really good, and they want to make it great. And then there's men like me, where I was when I started, when my marriage was in the toilet. So writing appreciation cards works for all three. And the most important and powerful part of this practice is that you're not dependent on anyone, including your wife. So the biggest thing about making these cards work for you is having the right attitude and following through. That's it, really. That's all you got to do. It's the right attitude and following through. So, what kind of a difference would you feel? So I know for me, I just felt like it was just a little bit easier, just a little less tension. And that was 30 days of kind of going, flying blind, so to speak. And it was enough for me. That doesn't sound like much. Probably if there's men in here who are listening to me and, everything's going well, and that's awesome. I salute you for coming in and taking the steps to make it, go to the next level. But honestly, it was pretty rough for not a short amount of time. And just being able to be around together, and then it was a little lighter, was cool. So it could be holding hands. It could be maybe a little more intimacy or affection or talking, right? Spending time together, wanting to spend time together, something like that. It's not the end all and be all in 30 days. I mean, if it is for you, that is spectacular. That's really cool. Definitely hook me up with your secret sauce. But for the most part, it's going to be a great start. Just a little bit of room, a little bit of a break. Oftentimes, even from that rough patch, or just a moment to slow down, think about things. So there's a method to the madness. The Better Husband Challenge is 30 days of writing with a purpose. There are resources to get you started really properly, and there's resources to keep you going when it gets tough, because it will get tough if you're going through, I think, even a rough patch. But certainly if you are kind of on, maybe not on your last legs, but it feels like it, okay? It's going to get a little tough. So there are people ready to help you in the private group, including me and Mark. And again, all of this is here for you. It's free. It's, the Better Husband Challenge, we're doing our best to upgrade it all the time. To put new stuff in or to change or add stuff, throughout the stuff that doesn't work and add more stuff that does work, including specifics. So we're working on it all the time. And that the Better Husband Challenge is free for you. Okay. We want to make it easy. Well, we want to make it easier. We want to make it doable. And in some ways we want to make it fun. And so part of it is having a community there to reach out to and say, hey. So one thing, this is an observation. So if your marriage is failing and you want to make it better, you can take ownership and take charge over what happens next, or you can blame her and keep being miserable. It's totally up to you. And so I'm telling you right now, if I can do it, you can do it. And since you're here now, that means you're ready. So here we go. So let me tell you what the challenge is not, and then I'll tell you what the challenge is, okay? So the Better Husband Challenge is not marriage counseling or couples therapy. It's not this is not a daily confessional where you talk about how it's all your fault for 30 days and how you're going to make up for it now. But it's not about trying to prove how good you are, and it's also definitely not the place to blame your wife for what's wrong with your marriage. It's not really, and it's, oh my gosh, and it is not a place where we like wring out our dirty laundry in public using social media like that. I mean, I think that's an awful way to approach things. I just want to be very straightforward with you, and we're very conscientious about privacy. That's a big thing. So, the Better Husband Challenge also, it's not about being better than somebody else. Okay, it's about showing up, becoming a better husband, and showing up that way so you can have a better marriage. I mean, so that kind of makes sense, right? If you want to run faster, you got to become a better runner. If you want to make tastier food, you got to become a better cook. If you want a better marriage, you become a better husband, okay? But again, it's not in comparison to anybody else. And you have it all in you. It's a matter of showing up more like the man she fell in love with and she married, okay? And if that sounds a little lovey-dovey or a little touchy-feely, it worked for me. It works for actually quite a few people. And so hang in there. Stick with me, okay? So the Better Husband Challenge is a 30-day commitment to write daily appreciation cards to your wife. And this is a practice I read in The Compound Effect. It's a book by Darren Hardy. And that's not a marriage or relationship book, but it seemed like a good idea, so I went for it, even though I didn't want to, and actually didn't think it was going to work for me, right? It goes to show you what a desperate guy will do for love, right? So we'll get into the specifics of the cards in a minute, but let me read you what Darren did, okay? What he wrote he did to give you an idea of what the cards are about, okay? Every day for an entire year, I logged at least one thing I appreciated about her. The way she interacted with her friends, how she cared for our dogs, the fresh bed she prepared, a succulent meal she whipped up, or the beautiful way she styled her hair that day. Whatever. I looked for the things my wife was doing that touched me, or revealed attributes, characteristics, or qualities I appreciated. I wrote them all down secretly for the entire year. By the end of that year, I'd filled an entire journal. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but I wasn't ready to do a year, so I picked a month. And my marriage was in too bad a shape to wait for a month to give it to her, so I wrote the cards and gave them to her every day. Pretty straightforward. It worked, so that's the model for the Better Husband Challenge. I guess we're taking like the worst case, almost the worst case scenario, and if it works there, we figure it works for everything, right? So how did the challenge come to be, right? I mean, it worked for me, great. And it's simple, but it's not always easy, right? It's not always easy. And why is that? Well, if your marriage is in the toilet like mine was, there are probably a lot of hard feelings circulating right now, right? Anger, resentment, frustration. So writing the appreciation cards is tough to stick with if you're hardly speaking or in an argument or having like a lousy day. And that's why most men in failing marriages quit the appreciation cards before they have a chance to work, right? It's discouraging. You feel frustrated. I almost gave up myself too, and more than once in 30 days. But because I committed to a set amount of time, right? A realistic time frame, a month, right? I told myself to stick with it, even though I was getting discouraged and feeling frustrated. And so despite a bunch of mistakes I made in those first 30 days, I did feel a difference at the end of the month, okay? Just like I said, a little less tension, a little lighter to be around. And, that probably doesn't sound like much to help people in healthy relationships, but it was a pretty big deal for me. So I decided to keep going, made a little more progress after a second month, right? A little bit more progress. And then, of course, I made more mistakes. So essentially, stubborn and lucky is how we turned around, okay? But that's too hard and unpredictable. This is this practice is something that's been used for a long, long time. I mean, you can ask therapists and counselors and psychologists, and you can pick it apart. It works, but it's really hard without a roadmap, and it's really hard without somebody kind of like in your corner, right, to help you and understand things and answer questions, right? So like Darren Hardy, I mean, his marriage was going well, and he didn't even show her for a year, and then his friend, whose marriage was in really bad shape, he felt it work after a few months, but he had Darren to talk to, which is super cool, right? So you got me and Mark and some other things to get you going. So the thing is, I wanted to make the process of writing the cards easier. So I created the Better Husband Challenge for men who want to make their marriage better in 30 days, right? So there's a roadmap, right? There's a roadmap to follow. There's examples and stuff. And then there's people that answer questions. And there's, honestly, I didn't have anybody kick me in the butt when I wanted to give up. So we got that too, all right? I put everything I learned together, and it's here for you. And plus the private group for members, all right? And the challenge, the Better Husband Challenge, it is free for as long as you want. It really, there's no strings. I'm not going to ask for your credit card to reserve it, or your mother's maiden name and the last for your social security. That's not it. I mean, I asked for your email when you sign up, which you already did. And then I asked for that when you go into the group, just so I know who's in there, because it's supposed to be for members, right? And that's it. That's all I ask. The one thing I am going to ask, okay, is after 30 days, I'm going to ask for your feedback. So that me and Mark and everybody else who gets involved can make the Better Husband Challenge the best resource for men who want to make their marriage better. Especially, honestly, especially for guys who are just hidden, it's just not great. Because that's where I was, and I feel for those guys the most, honestly. So that's it. That's all I'm going to ask for. It's like, and you can stay in as long as you want. I have somebody right now who's on their, I think, midway through their second 30 days. So ask them for feedback on the first 30 days. I'm going to ask them again after their second 30 days. I'm going to keep going like that because I can learn. Anyway, so these cards and the types of people who are successful. So I tried writing the cards even though I didn't want to and I didn't think it was going to work for me. So why did I think they were worth trying? Okay. So Darren said that year of writing was one of the best years of their marriage. And I thought, so, what do I have to lose? Right? I mean, why not? Well, so the answer was I actually had a lot to lose. So we have 3 kids. They're amazing. And they were pretty young at the time, and a divorce would have, oh my God, it would have hurt them a lot. For sure, divorce costs a lot of money. And then, the other thing is, I still love my wife a lot. Our marriage was awesome for many, many years, and I wanted that back. I wanted it back real bad. And the thing is, I wanted to also focus on something positive for once. God. And the appreciation cards made sense to me that way. We were so stuck on talking about and working about the things that didn't work and thinking about it all the time and talking about it. Oh my God, it gets depressing after a while. So, I mean, everyone likes to be noticed doing nice things. And even though we were mostly silent around each other, at this point in our marriage, I figured she'd be open to at least, hearing me tell her about the good stuff I see her doing and saying, right? I mean, if I really meant it and I just put it out there, that's it. So I did it for a month. And every day I thanked her in writing for something specific she did or said that day or the day before or, pretty recently. And what I appreciate about her. Something, when you make it super general, it doesn't work. So something like this: thanks for being nice. I appreciate you saying things that make other people feel good. Okay. I mean, I get it. The sentiment is there, but that's way too general. There's nothing about that's with her. So here's a few examples that are specific. Okay. And they talk about different things like what Darren said. Okay. Here's a few examples. Thanks for dinner last night. Your lasagna is awesome, and I appreciate how delicious your cooking is. Thank you for calling Auntie Liz yesterday. She enjoys your company, and I appreciate you checking in on her. Thank you for taking the kids to karate practice today. I appreciate how you make getting them to activities easy to share so we get time to watch them and spend time with them. Okay? So you see how really specific it is. And, what Darren was talking about, I think like taking care of the dogs and looking nice and a bunch of other things that weren't directed towards him. And that's okay. It's not about me. It's simply about her and recognizing the things that she's doing, to whomever they are, right? So there's specifically a video that goes over a bunch of styles, and Mark also goes over some that are especially effective in his video, right? So you have that. So don't worry, we got you covered. All different ways to do it. I promise you, people do it all different ways, and it's cool. Some stuff that's super creative and fun and really heartfelt. That's the thing. Remember, it's got to be real. It's got to be real. And look, some days writing the cards was easy, and some days writing the cards was really hard. Like, again, if we were arguing, if I was having a crappy day, right? So I stuck with it, and I'll tell you this. It made a difference that I could feel, right? That's just that little one. And I just want to reiterate again, just being a little bit more relaxed around each other. That may not seem like much to most people, but when you're used to going to bed angry and waking up pissed off and thinking all day about how shitty things are at home, believe me, this was a major deal, okay? And that's part of it. It's like, when you're thinking about, like, okay, so you have a task, right? Guys are really good at getting shit done, right? So here's the job, get her done. All guys are good at that, to a certain degree. Even when it's hard stuff. Like, this might be really hard for some of you. Okay, so get going. This might be really easy to write, but it might be really hard to actually follow through because whatever. Okay, so get going, right? That's what it really comes down to. Here's your job every day, and it's at least one thing. So you got to be thinking about it all day. So if you're thinking about good shit she's doing all day, it's like, it's a little bit uplifting, right? Anyway, so it seemed like we were moving in the right direction. So I kept writing the appreciation cards, and again, something that makes it easier. It's not just about what she does to me, because I didn't really feel like she was doing a lot for me at that point. We were having arguments and stuff, and I felt like she was being kind of mean. So I found stuff. At least, to be honest with you, I found at least a couple, 3 things every day, no matter how bad things were, that she was doing, at least with other people. Sometimes, petting strays and feeding them, but that's okay. It works too. So I want to tell you that in like 3 months, 3 months, I could tell, we were really making a lot of headway. Oh gosh, what was it? We were talking again, just for a minute. She was smiling a lot more. If you see that picture of her, I'll show you a picture of her. Look, I want to show you my favorite picture. I just want to show you this right now. You see that? Let me just get rid of it. I'll put this right there. You see that? Okay. That is my favorite picture of me. Why is it my favorite picture of me? Because if you see, she's just got a gorgeous, radiant smile. Seriously, guys. I mean, she's awesome. She's so pretty when she smiles. I mean, she's always pretty. But she's just got this gorgeous, radiant smile. And I had something to do with that. I feel great about that. That's like the best me right there, man. So, seeing her smiling, and then we were holding hands, and we were walking again. We hadn't done that in a while, and it's just funny how little things like that, how much little things like that mean, and how much I actually took it for granted until it was gone. So, and that was a few years ago, and we're happier together, honestly, than we've ever been. We hang out, we laugh, we go on trips once in a while, just the two of us. The kids are a little bit older, and when we fight fair. Okay, I mean, we do still have arguments, okay? But instead of like just throwing our hands up and walking away and staying mad for days like we used to, or just getting super pissed and yelling at each other. So now we take a break. We take a breath. We take the time to just think things through a little bit, and then we come back together. And, we do that because we both know we really do have something special. And we had something special before we got married. We had something special when we got married. We had something special. We have it now. Okay. So you might be wondering how simply writing the cards could make such a difference. Okay. And I kind of alluded to this about thinking about what you're focusing on. And it's actually pretty straightforward. Okay. It's like that old proverb says, you find what you're looking for. Okay? If you go in looking for a fight, you're going to find a fight. You go in looking for just human decency and kindness, you're going to find it. Okay? Darren said that writing his appreciation journal forced him to focus on his wife's positive traits, right? Every day he was simply looking for the best in her, and guess what? He found it. That changed how Darren showed up in his marriage, right? I mean, things were going good. He showed up like, wow, deeper. And then guess what? She responded to him. Remember, he didn't say a word about this the whole year. It was like what he was seeing and then how he showed up for that. And then she was responding in kind just because, right? That's how he described that writing the cards had such a big impact on his marriage. And I had the same experience. I saw so many good things about my wife when I stopped looking for what was wrong with her and looking for what was wrong with our marriage, okay? So looking for the best things my wife was doing and saying and writing them down changed how I thought about her and changed how I showed up for her and our marriage, okay? And once she saw that these changes, like how I was showing up, once she saw that I really was showing up that way, it was lasting, like I was being consistent. She started treating me like the better husband I was showing up as, So there are 3 important lessons that I learned from writing the appreciation cards, okay? And our marriage, I have to tell you, our marriage would have gotten better so much faster if I had known and followed these 3 points from the beginning, okay? So pay attention. This is going to help. So first of all, writing the cards, it only takes a few minutes. But what makes it count is looking for stuff all day long to compliment her on and thinking about how much I appreciated her, okay? Once I found them. I was like, oh, wow, I really do. That's really cool. It's not like she was the only thing I thought about all day, and it's not like she's perfect, okay? It's that I spent every day looking to catch her doing something good rather than watching for something to criticize. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, the second lesson is that the cards are not about getting her to change, okay? It's about you taking the time to notice her positive traits and tell her why you appreciate her. Just focus on that. Don't expect her to thank you or do something for you or write her own cards to you or even say anything about them when she gets them. All right? Don't just put your expectations aside. All your expectations, just put them aside. You're doing this for her. Okay? So remember, Darren's wife had no idea what he was doing, and he said that year was the best for him of their marriage. One of the best, right? All right. So this third one, this made the biggest difference, right? This was the whole catalyst. Lesson number 3 is facing the painful truth that I had it apart in our marriage going from awesome to awful. Okay? I wasn't a monster. I'm not a monster now. I wasn't a monster then, and it wasn't all my fault. Okay? The truth is, I wasn't putting in the effort that every marriage needs to be happy and healthy and fun. Okay? And really, our marriage started turning around when I changed how I was showing up for her. Just like what Darren said. Okay? That's it. Seriously, that's it. You let the process of looking for the best in her every day and writing it down make a difference on you and your marriage. Okay? That's what the Better Husband Challenge is all about. So, we went over really briefly the cards, what it looks like, and most importantly is the mindset, right? Mindset, what you got here. Okay, we have a bunch more resources. So first of all, every day you'll be getting an email from me. It's a check-in. It's with my appreciation card of the day and something about it, right? Some underlying piece about it. I'm writing them with you. So we're in this together. I'm doing it a little bit differently. I'm doing it more like how Darren did it. So I'm trying this out, seeing how it feels. So she doesn't see them. And I also post that in the group. Okay. You also, this is super cool. You also have Mark Jalla. So Mark is a certified marriage coach. Okay. He has worked with so many people, couples, men, women, right? And he's got great insight. I'm telling you, smart guy, personable. He's there for you. We both are. Okay. So, I'm going to hand you off to him. He's got a welcome video, and he's going to go over some important parts that'll really add a lot of depth to how this all works. So I recommend highly just going on to him next. Just listening to him next. It'll help. So let's see, him and daily check-ins. Oh, okay. So examples, right? So I gave you a few up there, but there's a whole bunch of different styles, and I recorded one so you can say which ones you like and which ones fit you. Honestly, there's commonly asked questions, frequently asked questions. We'll go over that. I have the pages from the compound effect, right? So if you want to see that exactly what I had to use, go for it. It's in there. And you can pull what you can from him. There's an inventory exercise. Okay, this is something you'll often have. I think when you go together or go separately, and just kind of thinking through like where your marriage is at, like what you have together. There's a couple of. I mean, this is not to share with anybody. You can, but it's not to share with me. It's not. It's online, but it's like. What do you call it? It's just online to read, and then there's online to print. So you can just write it out or type it in, whatever you want, but you don't have to share it with me or anybody else, okay? So it's not for public or even my consumption. I don't see it. You just do it if you want. I recommend it. I recommend you do it. If you don't do it before you start writing the cards, do it at a day or two, because it'll help. It helps kind of like help you understand where you're at. Even, no matter, again, whether you're doing great already and you're taking it to the next level or things are really rough, either way, it helps you kind of like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I got, Let's see, what else? What else we have? There's also, so one of the things is that I wasn't really sure how my wife was going to react and or respond. So a lot of people aren't. A lot of guys aren't. So how do we handle these different reactions? So there's a video with that, just taking you through a whole list of them, and it's been created over a year. So a lot of stuff in there. And then there's also the group, the private group. So it's in Facebook, and I just want to let you know. So originally we had this idea about, accountability and checking in every day and, and community and like talking all the time and, and us being there. So it's there for you. And if you want to have, like, if you're concerned about privacy, please just create a Facebook account that doesn't have any personal identifiers, okay? Don't say like, I don't know, Ken from Ken L, whatever from San Jose or something like that. Don't say that. Just whatever it is, just put it in there and join, okay? And just just let us know the email account that you signed up for, and it's great. It's totally fine. You can put out your cards if you want. You don't have to. One of the things that I thought was useful for me, or I thought would be useful, is accountability. Just every day say, yeah, I'm done. Done, day 6 or day 17, done. That's it. And some people don't do that. It's okay. We're here, right? It's however you want to use it, however it works for you. That's the most important thing. I do really recommend joining, right? So after the end of this one, listen to Mark and then join, right? And then listen to the rest, or however you want. Go to whatever the videos that you want next, or just say, I'm good. Just start. The main thing is just start. It works. Start with the right attitude and just keep going. Okay. So it's there. And you can also ask us questions, and we'll answer them, directly if it has to do that way. You don't have to put it out there at all. So if you want to join and have a different email, your regular Facebook account, that's okay. I mean, however you want, but I recommend getting in there. All right. So before I go, so a message for the fellas who are whose marriage is going well, and you're ready to take it to next level. So, good for you. It's freaking awesome that the fact that you're taking things up a notch is how you got to where you're at now, right? You're never resting on your laurels or never getting complacent. You just looking for better, because she deserves it, and by acknowledging that, you deserve it too. And that's awesome, and I'm totally honored you're here. The appreciation cards or something like it probably makes sense to you because you probably do it all the time, right? And even if it's a practice you're new to or nervous about, right? I hope you share your experience with us, because it's something to learn too. And all right. So here's a hard truth for the rest of us, right? You might be asking yourself, why should you do this, right? After all, it's probably not all your fault that your marriage is circling the drain, right? Why should you make this commitment not only to appreciate her, but also to write it down every day for 30 straight days? And on top of that, she doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to do anything. Right? So why should you be thinking about changing anything about yourself, especially if she doesn't do anything nice for you anymore, or if you're not having sex, or if all she does is nag, complain, and criticize? Okay? That's a great question, and I honestly don't know. I felt the same way. My wife had a part in our marriage falling apart, and she sure as heck was not being all that loving towards me. All right? I did the appreciation cards for our kids, and because I loved her, and because I wanted our great marriage back. That made it worth trying, even though I had no idea what would happen. And in fact, I was kind of nervous about how she would react, right? So you're going to have to ask yourself, what's at stake, and decide whether or not to take the initiative. I hope you do. Because what I know for sure is this: if your marriage is falling apart, or if you're having a rough patch, and you want to make it better, you can take ownership and take charge over what happens next, or you can blame her and keep being miserable. It's totally up to you. It worked for me, and it can work for you. That's it. And you're here. You're here now. That means that you're ready to give it a shot. Even if you're nervous about this, even if it's something new, even if you don't want to do it, even if you're not sure if it's going to work. Right? You're here, which is super cool. That means you're standing in, all right? This is not 100%. If you're looking for 100%, I don't know where that is. But so obvious question is, what if it doesn't work? Right? It may be that you can't save your marriage. That's an honest truth, right? That's an honest truth. That happens. That happens sometimes, even if you still love her, even if she still loves you. So maybe after 30 days, you learn that one or both of you isn't willing to make the effort that it'll take to save your marriage, okay? At least you'll have clarity. And calling it quits, knowing that you really did your best you could, is something you can be honest about with anyone and everyone, including kids, okay? That may not be the result you were hoping for, but isn't that worth the effort? Okay? So, quick recap. The Better Husband Challenge is a program for men to make their marriage better in 30 days. In a nutshell, for 30 straight days in the challenge, you're going to do 3 things. Number 1, appreciation cards. Recognize the best in her every day and let her know. Number 2, you put aside any and all expectations for her to change or that she's going to change. Number 3, be open to changing how you show up for her and your marriage. Okay? You've got a bunch of resources to get you started, right? And keep you on track. Use them, right? Use them. Go over them again. Ask questions. Hold yourself accountable, right? Write your cards every day and watch your attitude while you're in the process. Make sure it's aligned with with how you want to show up, okay? It's all right there. Join the private Facebook group after you watch Mark's video. When you got questions, ask them. If you don't want to ask the whole group, ask me or Mark, separately. We'll get to you. We're there for you, okay? So let's get to it, all right? I'm turning you over to Mark in the next video, and I look forward to meeting you in the group.